What is going on, everybody? Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the greatest live tuning show ever. Period. It's good to see all the familiar faces. We got people trickling in, and as usual, we've got our buddy that likes to give us the thumbs down right at the beginning. Well, before the stream even starts. You know what? Got nothing but love for you, guy. Keep doing it. At least you're consistent at one thing, because you're sure not consistent at tuning advice. What we got going on? As we get people rolling in here, let's do an update of everything that's been going on. So we got the roll cage done. We're going to haul it out, not this weekend, but next weekend for certification. Hopefully it passes first time. I don't see any reasons why. If there's any reasons why it wouldn't pass on first time, it would be my stuff, not Justin's stuff, because everything Justin did is awesome. Once we get everything kind of painted up and looking good, I'll take some pictures and get the interior reinstalled and stuff like that. Got the rear firewall done. Got the fuel system done, except for wiring in the flex fuel sensor, but the surge tank with the two 340 pumps and the new Aeromotive A1000 regulator is in. Got that thing tuned in, dialed in at 60 PSI. It's looking really good, real happy with that mod. And then went ahead and ran some new lines for things like oil pressure. Since you can't have a poly line in the interior, you know, I did remote mount oil pressure. So I've got a sensor for the Holly, and then I've got a separate sensor for the gauge. Just a bunch of small stuff, but a lot of things are getting checked off the list. The third member is supposed to ship tomorrow. Fingers crossed. Everybody keep your fingers crossed on Friday that the third member ships. But that being said, I did go ahead and order some new axles, because the axles that I got have 5/8" studs, and that's it. And then I realized that my street wheels were not going to fit on 5/8" studs. So I actually got a set of Mosiers coming that have both 5/8 and 1/2 inch. We're going to run 1/2 inch for now, so we can run the street wheels, and then we'll run shank style lug nuts with the drag pack, because of course it's set up for 5/8" studs. Just what do you got to do? You got to do. So what we got? Kyle Morris, yes, we talked about Rich after reflash, injector temp. Plenty of information out there. Won't really go into it. Found out my map actually goes from 12.5 at startup to 15.2 after power pull up. Your barometric pressure goes from 12.5 at startup. 15.2. Jim, that may be normal. I would have to go back and maybe look at some other logs in which that happens, because it's, but if you key on engine off and give it about 10 or 10, 15 seconds, it should be reading atmospheric, 14.7. 12.5 and 15.2 aren't really good either way. I mean, 15.2, you would have to be in the ocean. Yes, Les, Blue Cat's transmission tunes, pretty good. The tool, pretty decent, but honestly, a lot of that stuff you can kind of do yourself. Yes, it will mess up your math on SD tuning, Jim White, because you have a pressure ratio base table. Willie from Alabama. What up, MK? Juan, are you still too busy to tune my POS? I am booked up until mid-June at least. What up, Dirt Floor? Good to see you, brother. Beverage for tonight is the same thing I was drinking last week, the Victory Dirt Wolf IPA. Big shout out to Brad. I don't think he's in here, but he sent me a case, and I've been working through it. Rebuilt the 4L80 and stuffed a triple disc converter in it. What do you recommend on the lockup? What's the stall on it? I mean, obviously, I wouldn't lock up first, second, or third, and then fourth gear, you can probably lock up basically anything that's not, anything below 20% throttle. Gen 5 transmission, 1-2 flare after full tune. What makes it go away? Oncoming pressure, shift pressure, or torque values. Probably going to be oncoming pressure, PCM Frenzy. Yeah. No, I read the one about being from Oklahoma. Can exhaust leak cause the garage smell like exhaust after you tune the car? Still has stock cats. I mean, yeah. But I mean, any cats, regardless, it's going to smell like an exhaust in a garage. I mean, fuel is what you should be more concerned about if it smells like fuel. Anybody know about the proportional and integral airflow tables under airflow closed loop? Someone mentions it needs to be modified after installing headers, or we'll show some DTCs. No. No, what generally will happen on closed loop is that your switching voltage is going to change. And instead of using proportional and integral adjustments under closed loop tuning, just adjust your switching voltage. Your switching voltage is going to be higher. Generally, it's around 450 millivolts stock. Once you put headers on, it's probably going to be closer to 600. Justin, one adult beverage on a Thursday. Turning off the car will also help. Garrett says adding to off pressure, off-going preset can help with the flare as well. Yeah, Kansas is just northern Oklahoma. How do you feel about using RTV copper to seal a tiny link on V-band's exhaust side? What about using axle grease? Jerry, I would use orange high temp RTV. That stuff will stand up to the temps. I've used that stuff directly on headers, like on header flanges on the heads, and it's worked. And it's a lot easier to clean up after the fact and replace whenever you mess with the take the exhaust off or something like that. E38 in 2012 Capri, having an issue when I force open loop, the commanded EQ ratio will rise while driving. You know, Daniel, we ran into this a while back, and I can't remember off the top of my head what causes that. Somebody please chime in. He's talking about commanded EQ rising, and there's an open loop. There is a specific thing, man, and it's been over a year since I've dealt with this. I've only seen it one or two other times, but it is a common issue. The information is out there, and I want to say that there is a modifier table that's causing that. Do you have step-by-step on how to set up data log tables? Yeah, Anthony, go back into the Tuning 101 playlist, the original one. And there should be some for data logging in there that goes over setting up tables, doing parameters, filtering, all that stuff. Watching a video on YouTube, tuners said that most tuners don't know, but on Gen 5, you need the engine torque to match the trans torque. No, that is incorrect. The trans torque is calculated off the engine torque. So there's no way to calculate torque from the transmission side. Yes, the actual commanded itself. Very, very interesting. Very interesting issue. As I said, I've only seen it once or twice where the commanded starts going lean. Metal Fabin says he uses Alta Copper for warped or goofy connections. No complaints or issues yet. I've used that some. I'll tell you, just don't use the stuff that hardens up. That stuff's the worst. The exhaust seal. But said I've had good luck with the orange stuff. I was worried. In fact, I've got Ultra Copper because I was worried the orange stuff would burn up. And I've not had any issues. Yeah, I don't think that the calculated intake valve temp raises. I believe, if anything, it's only going to enrich in things because it's trying to cool things down. Yeah, muffler mud is the worst. Never use it. It is last ditch. Because once that stuff sets up, an angle grinder has fun getting it off. Justin, did you get any work done on your turbo intake manifold? Justin's decided that since the racetrack is closed this Saturday, that his turbo kit is going back on the Hayabusa that had the nitrous on it that we did a video on last year. Do you know if there's a list somewhere that'll match up PCMs? I want to do a segment swap to add flex fuel to my 2006 Sierra 6L. I believe there's one floating around on EFI Live's forum somewhere. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. JB Weldon send it. We'll just do one solid install from the heads back. More housework. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Safety stuff, emission stuff. Got my MDI2. I needed to fix fifth system, but I did not see it in the reprogram list. That module didn't show up whenever you connected up with the VIN. To use the male-female cable flanges. What are you talking about, Joe? It's good to see you again. Changed my Stoic AFR on a Gen 5 18 Silverado from stock to 14.4 SD as lean as expected. However, it will idle at 0.85. Any idea as to why? What's your wideband say, Nick? It's not a flex fuel issue, Andrew. I know that much. Oh. Talking about Jerry's flanges. Yeah, female to female don't work too well. There's no telling what Joe's talking about. He's probably busting balls as usual. Yeah, there you go, Jim. Black soot. Still too rich. Probably too rich. So you are talking about the V-bands. You said cable. Cable flanges. Scissor me timbers. How would I start tuning for my Gen 3? I'm going turbo, but I just don't know how to start my VE table. To be somewhat safe so I can dial in the tune. Well, you got to remember on volumetric efficiency that you are effectively measuring the amount of the air that the engine is breathing. So as you build boost, you're going to go higher. But the nice thing about volumetric efficiency tables is they are based off of RPM and manifold air pressure. So if you look at the table as it is on a 1-bar setup, that is everything below 14.7 psi, aka atmospheric. That's all vacuum. You got to go into a 2-bar or 3-bar setup so you know you're going to start getting into boost and you're going to add fuel above that 100. So the nice thing about it is with a turbo or a supercharger or something like that, you can start up on your factory VE table and then start working out from idle. It's just an iterative process where you go out there, go up to 2,000 with a little throttle, go up to 2,000 with a little more throttle, go up to 3,000 with a little throttle, 3,000 a little bit more aggressively because that allows you to spool as I punch my microphone, things like that. And you want to work your way up into boost. And what you'll see is where it starts to peak up, where you're adding additional fuel because you're starting to get into boost and it's not trending beyond the point where you've logged that data. You can go ahead and enrich beyond that point. You can make predictive adjustments to your table beyond that point and say, oh, well, we hit 110% volumetric efficiency at this point. We know as we build boost beyond this, we're going to just increase that volumetric efficiency. On top of it, volumetric efficiency because of it on the old style VE, not the virtual volumetric efficiency because GMVE doesn't make any sense, but the old style is literally just the displacement of your motor in a percentage. At 100% volumetric efficiency, you are moving the full displacement of the motor around 14 psi. You're going to be moving twice the displacement of the motor because you're cramming an extra additional atmospheric volume of air into each cylinder. That's fast and loose. That's not exact science, but it will get you in the ballpark. I hope we're still alive. I'm still talking. Wideband shows it's idling at 0.85 and lean at anything other than idle. 17 Silverado, virtual volumetric efficiency. Nick, check your zones. See how soon you're shifting out of that zone, the idle zone where it's rich. There can be some funky things in there where that zone itself may need to be leaned out, and then the other zones around that you can bring up. Zones are just kind of a pain, man. Yeah, that's what I was wondering, man. How's V-band corrected cable? I thought you were talking about something completely different. Ah, your car hasn't been a turd, man. Trust me. What would be the safe AFR to be at wide open throttle? Under boost, you want to be at least 12 and a half. Probably wouldn't hurt to shoot for about 12.3, 0.82 to 0.85 volumetric efficiency or EQ. Yeah, GMVE is. It wouldn't even be that bad if it looked like real VE. The only thing that aligns between the two is the idea that bigger numbers mean more airflow. Danny, see, I'm glad to hear that because I'm pretty sure that you can on your platforms just edit that. Danny was having an issue with the table, spark table maxing out and was actually running more spark. And in situations like that, or more cylinder air mass, in situations like that, some vehicles you can't do anything about it. And what it's going to do is just utilize the last row of your spark table. But on certain situations, you can actually go into the rows. And let me go over here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Certain situations, you actually go out here. If you're exceeding 1.36 on spark air mass, you can go down to your row axis and edit this thing. And you can actually blow this thing out. So say we want to run more air mass. In this case, we can run 2. Then what you're going to want to do is interpolate this out to make it linear. Boom. Now we've got 1 out to 2, but just pay attention because the data didn't move. So where you were running at 1.36 down there, you know, that's closer to 0.8. You don't want to do anything before you adjust this down because if you run 40 degrees of timing or 26 degrees of time in that area, you can run into some trouble. Earlier stuff, you just can't do that on, unfortunately. But later stuff, you can. Makes life a lot easier. I mean, yeah, you can drag your brakes while tuning, load the engine more, it spools a little more. I mean, I prefer to just like find hills and use gear shifts and stuff. What's up with the Mustang? Nothing right now. The Nova is primary focus for the next month because Rocky Mountain Race Week is about 5 weeks away. Let me punch this mic about 6 more times tonight. Or as Joe says, you can use the brakes on an inertia dyno. Not everybody's got an inertia dyno sitting in their shop, Joe. Exactly. Burn the brakes down. The problem being is, I mean, I guess, it's, I don't know. You'll be fine, Chris. Just don't do too much at once. What up, DZ? Good to see you guys. You can do it that way too, Danny. If you need to go higher than that, as I said, you can edit it over. It's all good. You can't use the hills around Kansas. Well, the good thing is around Kansas, you don't need to tune for load. You just need to tune for wide open throttle. Kansas is just a big dyno. Big dyno without a brake on it. Jared, will that work? I mean, I guess if you apply partial brake pressure and then line lock it, still gonna really warp them rotors and heat them pads up. What up, Ryan? Oh, speaking of which, now I see Ryan's name. The Rocky Mountain Race Week shirts have been ordered. They should be in about a week or so, and then I'll get them shipped out to everybody. Oh, you're good, Jamil. Well, that's not true because Stillwater's in the only hilly part in northern Oklahoma. Man, you guys cracking me up tonight. Love it. Yeah, Jim, that's the problem that I have around here is there's not enough straight roads. I miss Oklahoma where I could literally go out and destroy factory drive shafts by accidentally hitting 140 mile an hour in a pickup. Got a 2013 ZL1 with meth injection. The tuner that originally tuned my car says to run straight methanol. Ugh, that's scary. Wideband hits steady 10.5 when the meth sprays. Is this still too rich? Yes. Multiple issues with this, Luke. For one, that methanol ever catches fire, you won't know about it until your car's burned to the ground because it burns just clear. And then on the second one is there's no benefit to running straight methanol. They've done tests in the past showing that a 50-50 blend produces almost all the same benefits as straight methanol whenever injecting it. So the problem being is that I would cut back to 50-50 blend and see where your AFRs are then. My guess is that the car is probably tuned without methanol, and then adding methanol on top of it is just making it pig rich. You've got to tune for the methanol. You're adding fuel through the air intake is what you're doing, unmetered fuel. You know, if I were you, I'd think about showing the Mustang some love. Listen, we're going to show the Mustang some love. I promise you. We just got to get ready for Rocky Mountain Race Week first. The Mustang's technically my daily driver right now, but doesn't mean I don't want like a 700 horsepower, 800 horsepower daily driver. Kansas had tons of hills, but they're all underground. Listen, Jim, I didn't even know what was going on. In fact, that was the first time that I was out tuning my methanol injection system. I just tuned it and was out doing one of the first wide open throttle rips on it. And I got to 130 so fast I didn't realize what was going on. And let's just say that the critical speed of that drive shaft was exceeded. Yeah, Luke, I would start by switching to a water meth blend and then see how rich it is. You may be fine just doing that. Andrew says, positive displacement supercharger on the Mustang. But I'm such a big fan of everything that ProCharger does. Hey, easy, Garrett. I went to Oklahoma State. 50% methanol, 50% nitro, let's party. Dude, Joe, I looked at some injectors last night, low impedance injectors that were 850 pound per hour injectors. Did the math, turbocharged D85 that were good for 9,000 horsepower. I don't know that you could find a pump that would ever drive them. 850 pounds per hour per injector. I-70 is not bad. Anywhere. Well, that's the truth also. Less deer are out thick right now. Yeah, you're right. They may have been atomizers. I can't remember, Joe. They may have been atomizers. I think they were somebody else's injector. I know the atomizers will go up into the 700 or 800 pounds per hour. Yeah, a twin screw blower is probably the way to go, Andy. Get that torque on the Voodoo. Yes, the Challenger's next. I'm glad that Justin said something. The next car, before we even get to the Mustang, that you're going to see is us doing the Challenger, doing the cam, headers. Did you get heads? I can't remember, Justin. I think you didn't get heads. Cam, headers, ProCharger. Crazy Dirt Drag had 16 of them, but not 16,800, surely. What was the injection flow rate on those things? And a mechanical pump is, I'm sure, the only way that you could move that much fuel through what, like dash 12 lines? 16s? Schedule 80? Plus the wine. But the thing about it is the car sounds so good on the exhaust note. Why would you want to cover that up with a wine? Danny, email me and I'll check. I've got so many meth nozzles sitting around, I probably have. It'd be one of the older number 5 meth nozzles. It wouldn't be one of the new ones. 16,700s? I mean, that'd be good for 16,000 horse. Well, I guess on methanol, 15,000 horsepower. Question about your injector scaling video. I know there's 2 kinds of scaling, but one is when, double stoic, and injector flow rate. When and why. Okay, so you double stoic to command twice as much fuel. So look at fuel is always kind of a constant. All the math behind the fuel is a constant. There's variables that affect the fuel like airflow, pressure, things like that. So by taking stoic out and doubling it, you're already asking for twice as much fuel. By doing that, you can take your injector flow rates and cut those in half, and then the math equals out. Jim, no, keep the Trailblazer SS. Keep the Trailblazer SS. I think if anything, the Trailblazer SSs are just going to go up in value. Give it another 10 years. Dash 20 from the tank. Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, keep the Trailblazer SS. 392 Challengers, they're gonna depreciate a lot faster and a lot more. I don't know down the road outside of Hellcats if Challengers are going to have much residual value because they've been making them since 2008 and they all look the same for the most part. You know, great cars, but it's time for a very big refresh on those. No, you don't have to do any scaling on the airflow tables because the airflow is the math, the variable. You've changed the statics for the injector scaling. You shouldn't need to cut your airflow tables in half. You for some reason your static math on your injector scaling has not worked properly. Yes, you can use fuel flow stoic and you can use airflow scaling. Even their diesel trucks have bad resale value compared to other diesel trucks out there. Not hating on Dodge, Justin. Sorry. Justin's a Dodge. He's a Mopar guy. Well, he's a motorcycle guy, but he's a Mopar guy. Yeah, right. If you're going to trade it in, it isn't from the Rust Belt, you could probably sell it in this chat. Stoic is around 6.5 to 1 for running straight methanol. Should I be shooting for a lower AFR when running 93 but injecting methanol? Nope. Nope. Keep your same AFR. Don't worry about that. And tune in Lambda, Luke. By tuning in Lambda, it doesn't matter. It'll all even out in the end. Because you got to remember, Lambda, the burn rate or the air to fuel burn ratio for every fuel is always going to be 1.0 at stoic. So as long as you're tuning in Lambda, it doesn't matter what fuel you're burning. Propane, diesel, methanol, nitro, all of them are going to be 1.0 on Lambda for stoic, max efficiency burn. Now your power enrichment might change a little bit, but honestly, it's not going to change that much because once again, whenever you're running 8.5 in something like gasoline versus methanol, to achieve 8.5 burn ratio on methanol, you're already injecting like 40% more fuel into the system to achieve that. Correct. Airflow method is the one where you need to touch. If you do airflow, you need to scale all your airflow tables. That's why I'm saying if you're running 10.5 to 1 with a straight methanol injection, going over to a 50-50 blend will probably get you darn near to where you want to be anyways. And it may have been tuned originally on methanol injection for 12.5 or something like that. ICT car guy, which ECU are you using on the LQ4? Because there's some ECUs for the truck motors that came out that power enrichment was basically disabled completely. Lambda is your friend. TJ, you're just in time for me to say it is that time. 8:30 on the dot. TJ shows up. Time to shut it down. Okay, you guys know the drill. I'll try and get some content out this weekend. Maybe shoot an update video on the Nova to let you guys know where it's at other than telling you so you can actually see what all the hard work's doing. And that's it. Exactly. Lambda is so easy to follow. I resisted at first too. Do not resist is all the Lambda. Thank you, everybody, as usual, for stopping by on another Thursday night. We'll have to get Joe back on here again soon because that was a good live show. So pretty sure that Joe's down for another live show. You guys know the drill. ABT, always be tuning. Where's the end screen?